All right. Our next guest is known for his Euro step, though the competitive basketball days, I think, are behind him. He's a connoisseur of some cheese pizza, sour cream and onion Pringles, cinnamon rolls. And oh, by the way, hundreds of thousands of people watch him play golf on YouTube. And he's one of 16 content creators that will be at East Lake the day before the Tour Championship, playing in the Creator Classic. His real name's Nick, but I think everyone else knows him as Fat Perez, part of the very popular Bob Does Sports. Perez, how we doing today, man?
Doing great, man. Yeah, got a day of golf, weekend of golf ahead of me, so I'm in a great mood.
Yeah, weekend of golf up at Oak Hill. Can't get much better than that. Avoiding the hurricane down in Florida seems like exactly where you want to be. I'm down in Florida. Hurricane behind us at this point, but all clear, all good. Thanks for coming on. Wanted to touch base just a little bit before the Creator Classic. I think your audience is large, but not everyone may know who Fat Prez, who the Bob Does Sports guys are. Want to touch a little bit on your background, a little bit on how things are going and what the Creator Classic's looking to. And I think I kind of wanted to start here because I think there maybe there has been a stigma around a YouTuber or what that means or a content creator. And I want to talk to you specifically because that was not like your plan per se. You were a regular guy with an office job, as far as I could tell, and then just kind of came into this 2 years ago. So how have you kind of come onto the scene, and how have you like? I assume even maybe 2 years ago you were like, do I tell people I'm a YouTuber? Like, how does this work? But it seems like now it's something that is more fully embraced.
Yeah, it's definitely been a wild ride for me. COVID, uh, obviously a clearly horrible thing, but did wonders for the game of golf as far as getting new folks into it. Really kind of firming up the people that were already in it, and certainly changed my life because it put me in a situation where I was looking for things to do at home, and fortunately for me, Bob was hosting kind of Zoom happy hours at the time, and for whatever reason, I decided to hop in there, boredom mostly, and yeah, you fast forward 2 years later, and kind of left the accounting desk, and here I am, making YouTube golf videos. Would have become two of my best friends in the world. So it's been a wild ride. And yeah, I think, for me, when people ask me kind of what I did, accountant was always something, I worked hard in school and worked hard to kind of be able to say that. It's a proud, one of those jobs you feel kind of proud to say. And then, you kind of have to start to get comfortable with, there's that I word influencer that rubs people two different directions, and content creator sounds a little bit better, but what does that mean? And then yeah, YouTuber, it's I think it's something that people hear now and don't necessarily just think, oh, like that's a person just wasting time making videos on the internet. Like people see, what people are doing on YouTube. I think it's crazy if you look at videos from like 8-10 years ago on what was coming out on YouTube to what the kind of production and stuff that's coming out now. There's clearly eyeballs there, and brand dollars and all that stuff. So yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a wild ride, a lot of education for me the last 2 years of this world, but it's been incredible.
Well, I mean, for me, I've watched some of your guys' videos, watched Max Homa, watched some of the other ones just as they popped up, but wouldn't say I'm a regular watcher, but kind of aware of the space. But it feels like this year with the Creator Classic, with the Myrtle Beach Q, with some of like the Good Invitational they had out in Phoenix, it feels like particularly this year, like the interest and the buy-in from the professional organizations and from kind of the higher powers, it feels like YouTube golf's kind of, I mean, having a moment is so overused, but it feels like right now it is kind of like really entering the mainstream. Is that something you're feeling even from where it was 2 years ago to where it feels like it is now?
Yeah, I mean, clearly, I think, like you said, with the Q, which is a cool opportunity for a lot of creators, and then this coming up, the Creator Classic at East Lake's going to be incredible. I think, speaking for us, and I'm sure a lot of the other guys feel this way. It's, we're busy and focused on kind of what we're doing, and then these things seem to kind of pop up, and they're kind of little gut checks, little, um, they're almost kind of like come up for air moments where you're looking at making great videos, you're looking at your views, your performance of what we do normally, and then these things pop up, and you're like, oh wow, didn't realize that this person was paying attention to this, or that person's paying attention to it, or this group's paying attention to it. So yeah, I mean, I think we've seen everything kind of build in the space, in the YouTube space. golf wise. And it's cool for us to be able to show that to, I guess, the normal golf audience, and get that little introduction. And it seems to be mutually beneficial for both parties, which is awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, you tell me if I'm wrong, but like you scroll down your channel now, it's a lot of just the three of you or the four of you with all or five, however many kind of in. I would say you almost have a Bob Sport the Sports like cinematic universe. I know the
Yeah.
Marvel has their cinematic universe. It's growing by the day. Who could appear in a video, but part of that universe is now like Max Homa has come on a couple times. Xander Schauffele, Minwoo Lee. You go down the list. Like I'm sure when you joined, and even prior to that, when you just kind of knew Bob and Joey, the idea that there'd be a bunch of tour pros ready to jump on the channel was something kind of out of your kind of imagination at that point. Like, is it one of those things where like you've seen the demand or the want from those guys being like, hey, we'll come on like that? That has to be something that's kind of evolved.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I joined in kind of maybe 6 months in from the channel, and a lot of it was just like, yeah, how do the two of them and then the three of us make unique golf content together, right? If that's one club challenges, we're kind of known for our eating and drinking challenges, just stuff like that. It never really crossed our mind in the beginning that a tour professional would want to get in on this. But then eventually we had that idea of like a 3v1 scramble. You look at it, it's far from like our, brainchild. I mean, you look at Barstool Foreplay, for instance, they do the 4-man scramble. That's a format that they've been doing for a long time, and it's one of their most successful ones. We thought, hey, we can do that. But the first one's the hardest one, right? Because you can't point at anything and be like, we'll make a video just like that. So we were kind of, we got lucky. I want to say, our friend Bill Hostler came on super early. And then definitely the Max videos are their first match is kind of the biggest one. And that gives us, proof of concept when we go and talk to the Keegan Bradleys and Xanders and all those guys, to not just, put an idea in their head, but send them a link. And, we've seen the response. I think these guys are in on it. It's a cool day for them. Even the Keegan Bradley's a perfect example. I think that, he seems like a super intense guy on the golf course, and he is, right? The way he's kind of mean mugging putts and things like that, a little bit fidgety on the golf course. And he's out there doing his job. But then you see him on our channel, right? And he's a totally different guy. You get to see his personality. And we could see in the comment sections like, whoa, didn't realize Keegan was this cool of a dude. Like, really going to be pulling for this guy from here on out. And you're going to see it a little more probably with him as a Ryder Cup captain. But yeah, I think we give these guys a different opportunity, a different platform to be themselves and not be working on the course. But yeah, it's pretty wild to sit here and talk to the Brysons and get Phil in the space now. It seems like these guys are really buying in on it.
Do you remember the first time that like a tour player like hit you in the DMs or like knew your name, or like was there a moment you're like, oh my, like why does this guy know? Like I'm a random accountant. Like why does this pro player know who I am, or how is this going? How is this happening?
Yeah, that's for sure. There's one moment. It's probably not the first moment, but one that I can think of. I mean, you can see when guys follow you on Instagram, right? That pops
Yeah.
up, but those guys might not all like be using that account, right? That could be certainly a business managed account, and they might be watching on YouTube, but we don't see names. If somebody subscribes on YouTube, you don't really see it, right? But I remember, I think it was last year, 2 years ago, we were at the St. Jude playoff event, and we got on the range, kind of media stuff, doing a video, and Jordan Spieth walks off of his practice session over to Bob and I, and just like, "What's up, boys? Like, love what you." And you're just like, you have no idea that any of these guys are watching, especially a guy like that, or knows who we are. I don't know how much he's watching, but like clearly had seen our stuff and enough to come say something. Yeah, those are the moments that are just like, oh wow, like figured this guy was grinding and not watching us on YouTube, but it's wild.
Do you get nervous at all at this point to do any YouTube stuff or like the Creator Classic or anything? Or like, hey, we're on East Lake like the day before all the guys are. It's gonna be everywhere. Like, does that? Or are you kind of just is that fully just part of the gig now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think my nature is a little bit more laid back in general. It took me a little bit of time early on to get used to the camera. But really it's just getting used to acting like it's not there, and being yourself. So I don't know. I mean, to me, it's a cool opportunity. I definitely don't want to embarrass myself when I go out and play and stuff like this, like the Creator Classic. But I see the cool, like I see the opportunity, the cool factor to it. Like to me, it's way more of an enjoyable thing to smile through and laugh through than it is to like really grind down and ruin my day if I make a couple bogeys.
One thing about the YouTube space I found fun is like truly there's like especially in the golf space like there's someone for everyone. Like if guys really want to laugh, like not I mean you're a great golfer right around a scratch golfer, but if people want to laugh, they can come watch, Bobby hit a shank or Joey get mad on the golf course. If they just wanted to watch sticks, maybe they just go watch a Grant Horvat video or a Bryson video, but you got the foreplay guys, you have people that are doing travel series. And one thing that's been cool for me to see is one thing we don't maybe get a ton in professional golf is like there is so much collaboration between the groups. It feels like it's a mutually uplifting kind of space, which I think is interesting and kind of uncommon for just everyday business. The fact that it feels like everyone is rooting on everyone. It's not some cutthroat business. They're like, we can't have them on our channel. Like feels like it's a uplifting, mutually uplifting place.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. I think YouTube golf, I think, is like, if you want to call it like an industry, right, is still very much in the very beginning. And I think we all enjoy making those videos. We all get to kind of share our audience and get introduced to each other's audience. And then I think there's just a little bit of like, right now YouTube golf needs inventory, right? We need to make sure that people stay on the YouTube app and don't run out of things to watch, new stuff to watch, and then bump over to Netflix or to cable or anything like that. So for us, it's a good thing that Grant Horvat and Foreplay and everybody else is putting out is putting out videos too, like every week. Because we want, when our video ends and it rolls in and recommends, we want to keep people going. Inevitably, we'll be recommended. We're coming back around on it. So no, and it's fun. I think it's a cool thing. Everyone's in the space is incredible. Everybody I've met, they're genuine people that love the game and love their audience and want to put out great content. So we all have the same personal goals. We all get along with each other, and for us, it's just a fun change of pace as well.
And it's become more than just the YouTube golf. You guys have events. You obviously have merch, as people can see if they're watching this on YouTube. You guys have a drink now. Like it's not just like the every week golf video that we see. Like how has that been? Where it's like you become like this brand more than just a guy that hits some shots on camera.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, there's at our heart, the foundation of everything that we do is the videos and the content. But we're able to build this awesome brand and have these opportunities kind of on top of that, and work with some great partners. Callaway being one that pops into mind right away. I mean, to think that Bob, Joe, and I, if you told us 40 years ago that we would be, sponsored Callaway athletes, if you will, we'd be like, wow, things have really changed. So that's cool. And yeah, we've had the opportunity to start a clothing brand and just drop the drink. I mean, for us, it's just, kind of just being a 360 type of an offering and everyone wants to kind of wear what they love. So for us, the apparel is a no brainer. And then the drink too. I mean, there's always going to be stuff that we use as consumers ourselves and think, how can we do this the way we want to do it and share it with our audience and people outside of our audience. So these are fun projects. It's got to be fun, and it'll always be fun. If it's just a dollars play for us, it's not worth our time. It's just not in the spirit of what we do.
I was watching the first video that you were on with Bob to Sports yesterday, and just as you scroll through the channel, like, oh, there he pops up again, in a couple months later, and then soon after, it's like, oh, okay, he's like the third part of this. Like, how quickly did it go from I'm just gonna pop on with my buddies every once in a while to like, hey, I can quit my job as an accountant and like sustain my life as this? Because it just from an outsider's perspective, it felt like that happened quickly.
Yeah, it's crazy to think back about it. I mean, I think about it all the time. I'm married, so that wasn't just me having to make that decision. I had to convince my wife that it was the right move as well, which was probably the hardest step, and it should be. But yeah, I think I just in the beginning, I was cool to meet these guys. I linked up with them in Pinehurst, played around of golf, and just stayed in touch. And Bob to Sports didn't even exist then. So then it was Bob to Sports, and then that turned into golf. And then sort of that popped me in mind. Let's bring him into a video. We talked about the kind of universe. So I had been introduced to Bob's, social media universe by that point. And even when we went to do the first match with Barstool Foreplay, that's kind of the first big video I was ever in. And basically, it's because Bob and Joe needed to fill a 4-man scramble team, right? Like if it was a 2v2, I would have never gotten that opportunity. So they kind of brought me in as a ringer. And once that video came out and the way that Barstool decided to kind of highlight me and my nonsense in it, everything kind of changed that next day. And it came kind of clear in that next week or two that, there was interest and, certainly interest from me. I never saw it as a tryout, but it changed my life.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the Classic at East Lake. You guys get to play the back nine day before the tour players do. It'll be on the tour channels. All the content creators will have their own groups out there capturing content that'll be on everyone's channels. Bob and Joey aren't going to be there. They're limiting this. They're keeping it just to some of the top guys on the scene. So take me through, handicap the event for me a little bit. Like, who are we worried about? Who do you expect to be kind of up there as a contender?
Sure. Well, good news, bad news for me is Bob will be there. He'll be caddying for me on the bag.
Okay.
So I'm sure I'll be making, getting my own reads and getting my own yardages, but he'll certainly keep me level headed out there and laughing. So that's good. Yeah, but as far, talent's unreal. You look at some of the names that they've already released, and I always look at George Bryan, right? Like the guy's an absolute player, man, and he's right on the verge and has played in some tour events, made a cut last year down in Bermuda. So, and he kind of tied, went into a playoff at the Q, Myrtle Beach. So he's hard to count out. Grant's been playing some great golf. I certainly feel like the underdog as I did at the Q, but I think the fact that it's a 9-hole kind of event, a 9-hole shootout, gives me the best chance, right? The fewer the holes, the better chance I'm going to have, or everyone's going to have, really. I think if you did this thing over 3 or 4 days and made it into a real tournament, there's only going to be a handful of guys that are kind of probably going to be there at the end of that. But I think the 9-hole format is crazy exciting. You're going to hopefully see a lot of birdies, probably see some big numbers too. I haven't seen the full list yet. I think they're slow releasing it, which is smart. But from the guys I've seen, John Walsh, a good guy, he's fantastic. Garrett seems to be playing some great golf from what I'm seeing. So I think everybody wants to come in there and win.
Yeah, well, all right, but you're a good golfer yourself. Don't discount it. Describe the game. Where are we at? It seems like we drive it just on a rope most of the time, and then it's good short game.
Yeah, look, it's I don't go too far up, too far down. I'm not a big hitter by any means. For me, just find fairways and hopefully give myself some birdie putts. Feel good with my short game. Game feels like currently right now feels great. I played a great round of golf yesterday up here, but I got to get some practice in for sure. Every day is a new day for me. It's kind of my game. So it's a crazy opportunity. I think we're playing tournament tees even. So I'm going to need to find 8-7 yards here and some speed in the next few weeks. And I have to be out of the fairway, because if I'm hitting 7 woods and I'm in the rough into par 4s, we're going to have a real problem.
Well, when are we going to get Joey a short game lesson? Is he still just resistant to it? What's going on?
It's we've done a video where he kind of turned the corner last year with some new wedges that Callaway got him, and we saw some improvement for sure. And to be honest with you, the last few videos he's been pitching and chipping the ball pretty good. So he's got his own way of doing it, and that's Joey D. That's the way he is. But he's finding something with the wedge game. So I think I'm kind of bullish on it. We'll see what happens.
Well, and that's the best thing for us, is because if he gets confident, then if it goes sideways, that's when that's when the fireworks.
That's the magic right there. Joey D blow up is one of the very best things in golf, in my opinion. One of the best things that we definitely put out. But it's genuine. The man, when we go and play little 2v1 matches or 1v1 matches, nobody wants to win more than Joey Coldcuts. And the other side of that is when it doesn't happen and he gets a bad break, he takes it personally.
All right, Perez, really appreciate you joining us today. Enjoy the Creator Classic. Enjoy Oak Hill. Thanks so much. And if you want to check out their stuff, Bob Does Sports on YouTube. That Creator Classic will be on the PGA Tour YouTube channel as well. So thanks, FP.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.